Hi everyone, I'm Neil Andrews. If you've watched Family Court, You Be the Judge, you'll know we normally look at fictional court cases and ask what decision the court should make. Today is a little different. I've spent years travelling to family courts across England and Wales as a McKenzie Friend. Thousands of miles, hundreds of hearings, countless hours sitting in waiting areas drinking questionable coffee. And over that time I've seen some things that genuinely made me stop and think, did that really just happen? Before we start, just a quick point. Every story today has been anonymised. I'm not going to identify any court, any family, any child, or reveal anything about the substance of the proceedings. The stories are real, but any identifying details have been deliberately removed. Right then, let's count them down. Number 10, Your Majesty. We'll start with one that I actually witnessed during a hearing. Somebody was addressing the magistrates and presumably wanting to be as respectful as possible, referring to them as Your Majesty. Now, if you've never been to court before, it's actually quite understandable. People worry about what to call judges, what to call magistrates, when to stand, when to sit. So nerves can definitely get the better of you, but I suspect Your Majesty isn't something those magistrates hear very often. To be fair, they handled it very professionally. I imagine it's one of those moments they quietly laugh about once the day's over. Quick note, the correct way to refer to a group of magistrates is actually Your Worships. Number 9, the family day out. One thing I've never really understood. People sometimes treat court like a spectator sport. I've seen parents arrive, grandparents, brothers, sisters, partners, sometimes enough people that you think somebody had organised transport for the entire family. The problem is most of them aren't actually going to get any time in court, so they spend hours sitting in the waiting area before eventually driving home again. Don't get me wrong, moral support can be brilliant, but you don't necessarily need to bring the entire family tree with you. Number 8, are you a solicitor? Please help me. This one's genuinely stayed with me. I was walking through court in a suit carrying my laptop bag when somebody came rushing over looking really distressed. The first words out of their mouth were, "Are you a solicitor? Please help me." And for a split second you could see the relief on their face because she thought she'd found somebody who could sort everything out for her. I had to explain that I wasn't a solicitor and I couldn't simply jump into her case there and then. It was actually quite a sad moment, to be honest, because what it really showed was just how frightened and overwhelmed some people feel when they arrive at family court. Sometimes they're desperately looking for anybody who seems to know what's going on. Number 7, the over-enthusiastic McKenzie Friend. Now, this one made me smile and actually a little bit angry. I once watched a McKenzie Friend become, let's say, a little over-involved. Every question the litigant was asked, they'd be whispering. More whispering, a little prompting, even more whispering. Eventually the judge had seen enough and intervened. A McKenzie Friend can provide support, take notes and quietly offer advice, but they can't answer the questions for somebody else. I suspect everyone in the courtroom knew exactly what was happening, except perhaps the McKenzie Friend. He was firmly rebuked and put back into his box. Number 6, the conversation everybody heard. Remote hearings have certainly produced some memorable moments. During one hearing, there was a short break. Somebody thought they were having a private conversation with their solicitor. Unfortunately, they weren't muted. Now, obviously, I'm not going to repeat what was said, and I wouldn't even if I could. Let's just say everybody in the hearing suddenly became aware that the conversation wasn't quite as private as participants thought. If you ever attend a remote hearing, always assume your microphone is live until you've physically checked otherwise, because technology has a wonderful habit of embarrassing us at exactly the wrong moment. Number 5, yes, I'm alone. Staying with remote hearings for a moment, this one unfolded almost in slow motion. The person had been asked a perfectly straightforward question. Are you alone in the room? They confirmed that they were. No problem. A little while later, there was a short break in the hearing. The camera stayed on. They apparently forgot it was still broadcasting. Almost immediately, they started talking to someone just out of shot, before that person casually wandered straight across the camera. At that point, nobody really needed to ask the question again. Now, there's actually a serious point behind this one. Family court proceedings are private. Nobody can watch without permission. When the court asks whether you're alone, it isn't just making conversation with you. The court needs to know that nobody is listening, coaching, prompting, or influencing what you're saying. So if you're ever attending remotely, don't just say you're alone, actually be alone. Number 4, the poorly dog. This one generally wasn't anybody's fault. At a remote hearing, which was progressing perfectly normally, everyone was concentrating, the judge was speaking, then somewhere in the background, a dog started being sick. Wasn't barking, wasn't whining, actually being sick. Everything stopped for a few moments and the poor owner dealt with the situation. To be fair, the judge handled it brilliantly. Nobody was annoyed. Nobody overreacted. It was just one of those moments that remind you that remote hearings take place in real homes where real life sometimes refuses to play ball. Number 3, courtroom fashion. Now, if you've heard me speak before, you've probably heard this story because I mention it surprisingly often. People ask me all the time, Neil, what should I wear to court? My answer is usually very simple. You don't need an expensive suit. You don't need designer clothes. You don't need to look like you've walked out of Suits. Just look clean, tidy and respectful. If you do have a suit, wear it. Courts appreciate you showing respect for the formality of the setting. But why do I include this one? Because I once saw somebody attend court wearing, drum roll, a string vest. Now, perhaps they had their reasons. Perhaps it was incredibly hot. Who knows? But whenever somebody worries that they're not dressed smart enough, I just remember the string vest. And suddenly, everyone else seems absolutely fine. Number 2, DIY court maintenance. I once arrived at court to find an internal window clearly had been smashed. The repair, a piece of cardboard neatly taped over the opening. Now, to be fair, it did cover the hole, but it also felt like a pretty good symbol of years of cutbacks and underfunding. Many court buildings are very old, some desperately need investment, so whilst I had a little chuckle at the cardboard, part of me also thought, actually that's quite sad. Number 1, the miracle. And finally, after years of travelling around family courts across England and Wales, I finally witnessed something I honestly wasn't convinced existed. A working coffee machine. It was switched on. It accepted payment. Coffee actually came out of it. I genuinely stood there for a second thinking, this can't be real. Now, don't get me wrong, the coffee still tasted like shit, but that wasn't really the point. The machine worked, and after all the courts I've visited over the years, this genuinely felt like witnessing a miracle. So there you have it, 10 of the strangest things I've personally seen while working in and around family courts. I've deliberately avoided naming courts, judges, families, or discussing any confidential proceedings, because that's exactly how it should be. But if you've ever been to court yourself, I'd love to hear whether you've witnessed anything equally as bizarre. Just remember, please don't name courts, children, judges, or reveal anything confidential in the comments. If you've enjoyed this slightly different style of video, let me know. I've got plenty more stories that didn't make today's list, so this could be easily become a regular series in itself. So if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like if you haven't already, and if you've got a friend who's heading to family court for the first time, send this to them. It might not prepare them for the law, but it'll certainly prepare them for some of the more unexpected things that might come along their way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one of Family Court, You Be the Judge.